What is up, everybody? Oh man,
Hey.
took a little extra week in between this one and the last one to recover from the Bog Fest. Um,
We partied so hard.
Recovering from the those fifth birthday parties. You just oh
He just like slammed the juice so hard. It's like, damn, don't give that kid apple juice. It's like
no.
it's an overload.
You know what it was, man? We had so much Sunny D. We just crashed after. Like our sugar levels were like to here, and then
Yeah. I'll tell you a funny story. I was at a grocery store once when I was a really little kid, and I was going down the aisles with my mom, and I pointed some on the shelf, and I go, "Hey, Mom, I want some hick." She's like, "Hick? What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Hick," and I point, and it was high C, hick.
Wow.
Sitting there on the shelf.
Wow.
Classic
Wow,
drink.
Alex.
Classic
Hick.
misinterpretation of how that's said. So there you go. Boom.
class.
Give me the hick.
We're dosing on hick. That's what we were up
Give me
to.
the, give me the hick.
That Hawaiian punch.
Damn.
What you will also see, ladies and gentlemen, tonight is some Council of the Crest runner cards. You will also see, as you watch the screen, that I've kind of shuffled stuff around. So please let me know. Let me know your thoughts on this stuff. I'm going to be putting larger card images over here, and I've kind of moved the chat into this section over here. But if you guys want it flipped around, I'm very, very easygoing about that, but it never hurts to try new things. Just like also tonight we're trying new things. We are going to be moving the podcast in a little bit of a new direction. So let me just explain that for a moment. What we're going to do is just be more off the cuff and casual, and just kind of talk about cards in general and not try and pinpoint them into a tier, into a rating system. So we're just gonna, it's almost like more of a, think of it like a Netrunner roundtable almost, kind of, right? Like this is just, dudes at the bar after that tough store champ, and we're just talking. So we hope that. So what it's going to do is just going to let us be a little more freely, and kind of break that part of the show where we're just trying to pinpoint, is a card good, is the card bad, and eliminate that struggle. It just more, and open up more of the creative side of our mind, and just have fun with things right now. We think the game is in a really good state, and we lost so many good cards that we gotta make up for it, right? We gotta play with all the new ones. So that's kind of where we're sitting right now. So you can also let us know what you think about that, and like if you want Hollis to do more work, we'll make him fill out the tier system.
I'll take it. Put it on. I got it.
Nice.
I mean, I got it. I don't know. We'll see.
Put it on me. Say it in your best Ja Rule voice.
I'll make sure Aaliyah is also a part of it as well.
Ooh.
Rest in peace. Gone too soon.
All right, so you ready? You ready to see what we got here?
Yeah, let's get into this.
I'm in.
Council of the Crest.
Council of the Crest runner.
Oh shoot.
Pack number 2. Let's do it.
Yeah. So we're starting off with another return to form for a reinterpretation or a redesigning of a card type that we'd lost from the game. Cards that we'd lost, and we got it back here. This is Excerpt. It's a 2-cost, 1 memory, 3 influence, Anarch Virus. And it says, when you access cards from R&D, access 1 additional card. Sounds kind of familiar, but here's the rub. Trash Excerpt if the corp purges virus counters. Mm, mm, mm. So clearly, I'm talking about medium. Medium, of course, one of the staple cards of the game for such a long period of time, used all over the place because it was very powerful. And this is an interesting twist on that because you get the guaranteed extra access right off the bat. Don't have to charge anything up. But it doesn't scale and it doesn't get better than this, but it sticks around. It continues that access at the risk of getting purged. But yeah.
I really thought you were going to compare it to an interface.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean that's also
just because the stagnant, right? Like it's not
right.
It's not going to keep adding like up, right? I think that sure. I think this card is going to be interesting. I can't really put my finger on it because I feel like this is such a borderline card where it's all gonna depend on, again, these damn viruses, right? Like how much is gonna see play. Right. Like you don't want to try and build something where maybe you have 3 of these in your deck and then all of a sudden you just get that third one out or something like that, and then they're like purge.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
right, sure. Yeah. So I think you're right on there. Is that this for me really feels like it fits in one of 2 decks. A deck that's already running a lot of viruses and wants to provoke you to purge, or a deck that is running Sacrificial Construct for other reasons and can benefit from the synergy with this card.
Definitely
I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that all over the place. I've seen this card out of Shaper where they're running 3 Sacons and they just pop one of these down and you're like, do I purge? Like, depending on the game state, it's a hard single card purge. If they have a Sacon on the board, you're like, it's going to take me 2 whole turns to get rid of this thing. And meanwhile, they're just like hammering R&D because they're Shapers. Like, it's a pretty good spot to be for this card.
I'm more partial to think that people would just be able to use Sacrificial Construct in the Anarch faction, because
that too,
since it's being only a one influence card. I mean, honestly, right now, the thing that holds me back is the 3 influence on it, because I feel like if multi-access, if you're leveraging that as a win condition, if you're leveraging that as a win condition, you're going to want to see 3 of these. That you want 3 of these in your deck because you're going to want to see it. But I just think it's going to be a fine balance on the board if you're ever going to want those in play. And honestly, I'm not a fan of cards like this holding memory slots. And right now I just feel like, I don't know, maybe Turning Wheel still kind of does it better.
Yeah, but Turning Wheel's slow, man. Like, these days, I've been running into some really fast decks online, and Turning Wheel is just like, it's not getting you there fast enough. And this hits the board, and it's instantly there. Like, actually, it's funny. I do see this out of Shaper, and another synergy that I think is really neat is Test Run. So if you test run this, click 1, you get that turn with it, goes back on top of your deck, then you can install it again, keep going, so it's less vulnerable to being trashed that way. Like, I think there's sufficient Shaper tricks that you don't need 3 in your deck to make use of it. You could pull it out through SMC, Scavenge, Test Run, whatever, and it shows up. So either way, either Shaper or Anarch, I think, could really make good use of this if they don't have sufficient multi-access somewhere else.
And I think that I often like to think about the hidden cost or hidden opportunity that's available there, knowing that while this card you don't want it to get purged, the fact remains is forcing the corp to kind of look at the board and say, it's worth me not doing anything else for the rest of this turn to get rid of this one card. can leverage you an advantage also as the runner. You can. It gives you additional time where the corp may not be scoring or the corp may not be trying to actively help improve their board state, but just simply hurt yours. And it may be the case where the existing cards in your hand or the existing cards remaining in your deck greatly outweigh the purge they're going to do. The purge they're going to make on the following turn. And I think that is also something in the card's favor in that the corp can easily get rid of it, but they're straight up removing turns from the corp side.
Right. And
I'm not convinced that you even get multiples of these out because that makes the purge that much better, right? Like, it feels very much like an annoying enough card to say, I'm fine with you purging and making sure that for at least a limited amount of time, I access 2 cards, or or a handful more,
right?
And then forcing another purge.
Yeah, and what I really like is this, like, further down the line in this cycle, we've got Freedom coming out. And we've already got cards like Acacia in the card pool and Fester, where if you go all in on viruses and you've got a card like this out, it's just another complication for the corp to have to deal with and be like, well, they've got Acacia and 8 virus tokens, but they've also got an Excerpt. So do I purge? And if I do, they win either way. Like, because I'm losing money from Fester, they're gaining money from Acacia. It's just a nightmare. So I think this card will continue to find niches in different decks. It's not lighting the world on fire, but it's definitely got some spaces.
Yeah, I think that's how I feel about it too. I don't think this is going to be included everywhere. The new this new super multi-access card.
Right.
What I do like about it is that there is this strategy behind it, and it is going to take that deck that has that balance of those viruses, so you're getting value out of it. But what I also like is that if you play it early enough in the game, I don't feel like the corp is going to purge it right away, because you're creating that tempo of they're losing their complete turn to purge. But as you build up and you're putting the pressure on, if they've left it on the board, you're getting close to those 7 agenda points. They are going to have to purge soon. And then that turn, you're also creating scoring windows, right? So you can use that to kind of bounce back. You may not have that multi-access, but now you have pretty much like 2 turns in a row. So,
yeah. So it's nice either way. Yeah, totally. I also want to agree with Vincent in chat. He pointed out that Dummy Box is actually a really nice combo with this as well. And I think Dummy Box is super solid and is not vulnerable to best defense. So +1 to that idea.
And do you think Cyberdex is going to catch on again eventually, or?
Oh, I've been running as CVS for a while, and Reverse Infection also came out in this pack. We'll get to that in a future week, but that's another reasonable way to purge. So there's definitely meta balance there.
Anything else on this one?
Not for me. I think it's neat, and I think we're going to see a decent amount of it every so often.
Yeah, I'm pretty split on it. I like I said, so it is. Friday.
All right, let's keep on keeping on with these viruses. We got Friday chip. This is a 2-install, 2-influence Anarch hardware chip. Whenever you trash a corp card, you may place 1 virus counter on Friday chip. When your turn begins, you may move 1 hosted virus counter to a virus program. So pretty clear synergy here. And I've been seeing a decent bit of this card online because of its best friend.
What, Imp?
Imp, yeah. It's pretty good. Endless Imp is kind of sweet. But I will say, having played against this card and Imp a couple times, honestly, I find the combo to be a little slow. And oftentimes not worth purging, weirdly. Because they're going to get that Imp once per turn in most cases. Like, particularly out of Ed Kim, which seems to be the place I see this the most. because that gives you the ability to trash corp cards a little more reliably and consistently. Yeah, I haven't bothered to purge. Now then again, I've been running a pretty fast deck, so I don't really have time to purge in the deck I've been playing. But still, I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, the combo is clearly powerful, but do you think it's good enough tempo wise?
Well, in general, with the way that the game has changed, I can't help but think that trashing cards that in general are not normally trashable is hugely beneficial. If we look back to like days of Grimoire, right, and the Grimoire Imp, it was very weird. Like I remember, especially in the early part of the game, where people would play a Grimoire and they would play Imp, and I would go, and they would discard one card, and I would sometimes even ask myself, do I go ahead and just purge here?
Well, yeah.
Do I just straight up remove 2 imp counters right now?
I think that was a reasonable play, right? And the reason is because when you purged, that imp was done. Like, unless they had other tricks or cards or whatever, which they usually didn't, that imp was done. And the problem here is that now the imp isn't done. It can come back.
It can, yeah. And it's really awkward, I think, here, because it'll feed itself, obviously, right? You trash with imp, and now you get the counter back, and you can move that to the imp again, or what have you. You can use it as if it's on it. And, like, that, I think, that makes it very awkward. But it does still hurt that ceiling where, okay, you don't have an imp with counters in play right now. Okay, well, so, because you don't, let me go ahead and purge, and now you have to spend, actual real credits in order to be able to keep this going. But, of course, once that imp has a single counter on it, like you said, it's now a rinse. It can be a rinse and repeat sort of like concept here, which is just crazy, Yeah. Also, in the world of Maul, where you can do all kinds of weird things, right? Where you don't trash. All right, now you can just maul it, and you run again. Now you imp it. It's just, you start reducing the amount of, like, you start just basically picking out these cards from the deck and from HQ that are going to get trashed. It's pretty harsh.
Yeah.
Overall, I really like this. I wish there were more viruses that I liked to work alongside it, though.
There's a great point, Hollis. I don't know. Alec touched on it, and I fully agree that I feel that this is kind of one of those convoluted combos that is gonna, maybe you get the cards close together, or you can get this out there and start feeding some stuff as a bonus to things. But I don't think this is the most efficient way right now to kind of breed virus tokens. That's the segue into, obviously, I think that Virus Breeding Ground does it better, because what Virus Breeding Ground is going to do is just generate a virus token when the turn begins. This is like, not only do you have to have the combo of the virus and the Friday chip ready to go and play, but now you have to do a condition to create the virus counter. So just feel like there's too many moving cogs for it to do. What I do like about the imp possibility, though, is that if you're going to run something like that, and you're just going to be, your main strategy is to be imping, well, now you can kind of go back and maybe take out your film critics and use imp instead of, so you can maybe imp the agendas away. Just like that's old school trickery, is imp, imping agendas.
But see, that's good, because it's harder to save those agendas once they've been put into archives. Like, there are fewer tools to recur imped agendas, and that can help against a lot of potent stuff. So I think
like
you're spot on.
Old school noise stuff, right? Imp it all, imp it all, and then
totally.
Right, but then so it does let you run something else on the MWL there, but I'm not overly impressed with what Friday Chip does. I think that there's better options out there. And then obviously this can probably be a little more lack on the influence because I don't see it moving around. Like what other factions are going to like really need to start reusing viruses, you know?
Yeah, you know, I haven't seen much of it, but you could make an argument for like pairing this with the turtle in criminal. You could even sprinkle a little cash in there to have another use for it. But yeah, 2 influence is a little steep, 2 cost. Now, to be fair, it is not unique, so they do stack if you have multiples installed. But I think your analysis is spot on there. Like, you need to have enough critical mass of stuff to use this with, and even then, I think it's going to vary based on how much stuff you expect to trash. Like, if there's a lot of asset spam, maybe this is a little more viable, right?
Yeah.
It's a hard sell in most decks.
Right, and that's the thing is that you take it out of faction like that, but then Anarch is the best trashing faction, you know, like with some of their stuff. So you start to generate or putting more pressure on yourself to meet the conditions.
I do want to mention now a friend of mine, Jamie Anderson. She mentioned that there's actually another cool interaction we're not considering as an honorable mention, which is Gravedigger.
Yeah,
Gravedigger says Gravedigger 2-cost virus says whenever an installed corp card is trashed, place 1 virus counter on Gravedigger, and as a click and using that virus counter, the corp can trash the top card of R&D. So a cool thing you can do here is, you can actually trash a card with Gravedigger, and then which is the top card of R&D, which means it's trash face down, and it will give you a virus on Friday Chip that you can use again or you can move over to Gravedigger.
Would it though? Because I'm looking at the wording of these, and I'm looking at Gravedigger. Well, Gravedigger says the corp trashes the top card of R&D, and Friday Chip is triggered when you trash a corp card. So
so they wouldn't trigger together. But
I don't think they trigger together.
Counter.
Yeah,
you can still
yeah.
use the virus counter on Gravedigger. You can move to Gravedigger.
Totally. And Gravedigger counters are very powerful, and that effect is one you have to respect. So I think you're spot on that Gravedigger's a cool call for use of this. It's not, as crazy synergistic as that, but it's still really good. So I like the Gravedigger call there. That's a solid card.
Great job, Jamie. Thanks. Honorable mention. Sorry.
Yeah. Very close. Yeah.
Thanks for the call. Good catch.
Yeah.
I do like that. I think that's neat.
Yeah.
Because I want another virus. I think that's a consideration maybe to think about.
Yep.
Maybe, a little spice, a little extra.
Yeah, sure.
Oregano you can sprinkle.
Again, I think with this and with Excerpt, it's like those decks that are going to get the critical masses of viruses are really going to start to consider cards like this, in addition to Virus Breeding Ground and Incubator and whatnot. Like, it's just a little virus recipe, right? And you got to get the right mix of the right virus ingredients, and maybe this is part of that. There. Any other thoughts on the old chip there?
No,
like chip off the old block.
All right, so let's go to the last Anarch card here. Yet another puzzle piece, perhaps, in this virus exciting deck archetype. Or not.
Yeah, it's gonna be a real thing here, man. To be, like I say, to balance the level of viruses in decks.
Right. Yeah. Well, if you want a specific virus, you might want to look at Krypt. It's a virtual 0-cost 1 influence Anarch card. Hello, Apex. Whenever you make a successful run on Archives, you may place 1 virus counter on Krypt. Oh, hello, Alice. You can then click and trash and spend 3 hosted virus counters to search your stack for a virus program, install it, paying its install cost, and then shuffle your stack. Ooh, well, does this sound a lot like a classic OG core set card? Does everyone remember this guy? That was Jin.
Jin.
Yeah. Sounds a little bit like shit. That card didn't really see play.
No,
so my question for you is this card going to see a lot of play?
Well, this costs less, so that's got to...
It costs less.
That's got to be worth something.
Yeah.
I can tell you...
Oh, good.
One thing I didn't like about Jin is the... again, I don't like taking up memory slots.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but this is I don't know. Hollis, your cam.
It's a lot more efficient. So it installs the program. It's zero cost to play. You can synergize it with other cards that add virus tokens, like your breeding grounds and whatnot. And for certain runners, you may want to be checking archives anyway. And it's non-unique.
Hollis camera, he's there.
Uh-oh. Did we lose Hollis?
I'm back.
Yeah.
Hey.
Uh-oh, and I lost my camera. Yeah, so you could stack a lot of these effects on top of each other, which is, I think, a lot more appealing than Jin, which was just kind of clunky, didn't really synergize, just kind of did its own thing. But I don't know, like, what viruses would you guys even want to be tutoring with this?
I honestly, I don't really know if I'm reaching for Krypt, because I think that it's going to be really, again, it's the what this is it seems too slow for me, man. Like, and so what you're gonna have to do is pair this with something, you know. Hey, Friday chip. Hey, virus breeding ground. Hey, incubator. Whatever you're doing, but now you're creating a combo that is I just don't feel it's worth it. So
yeah.
So you're adding a lot of cards to your deck that are, you know, just a lot of non-winning condition cards, right? Like,
yeah, I think it was, I'm probably misciting here, but I think it was Zach Cavis that said once a long time ago, why are you putting more complicated tools in your deck to win the game? Like, there are straightforward cards that exist, particularly in the Anarch faction, that get stuff done. Those good stuff style decks. And, you know, the angel of Zach Cavis would say, you know, you're making it more complicated than you need to. You're adding, you know, complexity on top of complexity, and for what benefit? So you need to kind of justify, like, okay, if we're gonna go all in viruses, like, it's got to be worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's pretty. I think it's pretty right on the point. There viruses more often than not are programs, and there's ways to find them. Other than this thing, there's ways to get through your deck and close the whole loop. Like you said, how many times was Jin used, right? Like,
yeah,
I just don't see the need to put something in here that's so convoluted that only finds like one type of thing. Like, you want versatility, right? There's a reason why SMC is the most powerful search card, because it just says, you know, find a program. Like, that thing can morph into anything. You're putting this thing in here, doing everything to find one specific type. I mean, maybe it's got future. Maybe we're gonna see some really cool, like this is the win condition, game winning virus once it's installed. You know, Lord help us, but
right. And, you know, you could make an argument that people might want their turtle out a little faster, or maybe you're going to make some hive mind shenanigans, right? You know, there are potent viruses for sure, but yeah, it's like,
but
so many clicks, so much time, get this thing loaded up. Yeah.
How much more quicker are you finding it? Right? Like is it better just to use your clicks to try and like draw for it?
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe there are ways to get virus tokens on this thing faster, like Friday Chip, in which case, like, you know, that's nice.
And that's where I was saying I think it's very combo-y. It doesn't look combo-y, but I think it needs to be combo-y.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm not totally sold on Krypt yet.
Yeah.
Is this speaking to you at all?
No, not really. We would need the available synergy for a lot of things. I feel like it's a passive card, right? And you still use a click to use it, but it's meant to stay on the board and kind of just work passively as you work towards whatever goal you have towards winning the game. So in my head, if running archives is a part of the strategy that's in place that your deck is already going to do, this is great because this is just simply going to be something that you just throw down, and over time it lets you just tutor, which is cool. But if your deck isn't, focusing on trashing cards, like using a card like Gravedigger, where you'd be running archives anyway, it seems like it's not quite as good, right?
Yeah, I think you're spot on.
Just agree. You want the synergy to be there with hitting archives to make sure that it's not just blind runs on archives with no true benefit other than to gain these counters. At that point, you should just get draw power and just try to go for it that way, I think, most of the time.
Yeah, I think you're right there. There was a period of time where I was playing Alice for a little bit. Old David Weeks got me excited about Alice. And I put in a one of archives interface in the deck because I was running there anyway. Like, I didn't put it into tech against a specific corp or anything. I just was going to be running archives, so might as well put in the archive interface. And I think for at least nowadays, this is going to fall in the same camp. It's like, yeah, so you got it. You got it. All right. All good?
I'm down.
Rolling on. All right. Here we go. Let's get into a card that I'm actually super excited about. Because some of you may not know this, but I am a longtime criminal player. And I've been out of the criminal faction for many modes. But this card right here, oh man, this card right here. One thing that criminals have never had, is a playable current. And oh boy, is this a playable current. This is Corporate Grant.
Is that guy Grant?
Is he? That's not how I interpreted that.
Is that Corporate Grant? Like that's his name, Grant?
I don't think so. I think the thing that he's holding, like the document, is like it's a grant, but it's a fake grant.
Oh, so you put the quotes up, and that's why the quotes are around Grant because it's fake.
Yeah, it's like a forgery. It's a forgery, a criminal forgery of the thing.
I'm not getting the joke.
Okay, all right. Moving on. So it's a current, as I mentioned. It's not trash until another current is played or agenda is scored. It says the first time you install a card each turn, the corp loses 1 credit.
So I'm going to translate. The first time each turn you play the game as corp, you lose 1 credit.
Yeah, this is pretty reliable. Yeah. I've been playing with this for a fair bit, and like as a runner, you usually have an excuse to install a card each turn, and so you're just like slowly drip, just losing a little bit of money, and that can add up. Real nice. It's 1 cost, which is so good. Like, I think it's baller because here's the other thing too, right? A lot of criminal decks rely on resources. And let me tell you, scarcity is a real bummer, particularly against Geist, but really against most runners in general. And the turn 1 scarcity in some cases is just game over. But the ability to have this as a counter current for 1 credit, and it's a current that'll actually like do something that's pretty nice on top of that. It's a win-win. Like, pretty solid.
Yeah. So it seems like this is like, granted, it's usable in a lot of crims, but it feels like, especially like in Geist, right? You're installing so many cards every single turn. I don't see how this basically doesn't trigger in Geist.
Oh yeah, and because you can have stuff like right, and you can have stuff like Street Peddler or Spy Camera to trigger this on the corpse turn. So
yeah,
you could get 2 credits.
Yeah, it's so sick.
Yeah, it's nice. It's so nice. Jameson, are you convinced? You into it?
I am. I don't think that it's I don't think that it's crazy like I got to include this in my deck, but I am a fan of being well-rounded, and now Criminal can be well-rounded and get use out of it. And what I mean by well-rounded is at least be able to combat if you need to get into that duel of currents. We have seen some strong currents out there. And having something in faction that you can use to either turn it off and like you said, for 1 credit, still get use out of it. I think that says something. I don't see any crazy super builds that are going to overly take advantage of this. There's really not anything on the horizon that I'm seeing that's some kind of criminal denial money that's going to pile up. But I mean, that's just from what I see right now. Maybe this is the swing of things to come. What I don't like about this card, though, is the wording on it. I think that Fantasy Flight, unless it's intended, but I think they need to be a little more careful when they talk about install a card each turn. Because what this is going to do is activate on the, there's ways that you can get stuff installed on the, on the corporation's turn. And that could tip the scale a little bit in the positive for this card, and I just don't know if I like that. I don't, I think that if we see something come in the game that allows the exploitation of say like this card, then I'm not too happy about that. So I wish that wording was cleaned up, that it's on your turn. But hey, it is what it is. There it is. Criminal got a valid current that's not, that's not a throwaway. So
let me tell you a place where I've seen this card that actually was a credit denial deck that wrecked my face at the Store Champ this past weekend. Old Ben Dodge Pong Peach Hack showed up with a Reina Roja deck that was running Lamprey, Clone Ship, Corporate Grant, Maxwell James.
But you're talking denial out of. I was talking denial in Criminal.
Oh sure, yeah. And I agree. Like it's more niche in Criminal, but this one Reina Lamprey Corporate Grant deck just like totally demolished me. And it like with a lot of effects we've been talking about, and the way I think about them is like this critical mass of if you've got the Lamprey and the Reina and the Grant all stacking on top of each other, those little bits of credits, they add up, and you start to feel the heat.
Let me hit you with one from the gallery. Right?
Ruh-roh.
My friend Jamie jumped in again. Right, she had another card. She was like, "Hey, what about Iox today or Excited?"
Oh shoot!
Which says it's a
damn straight
Anarch program. 1 memory that says cost 1. Whenever the corp loses at least 1 credit, gain 1 credit.
Ooh, that is fantastic. I love it. I don't even know if it's good, but I love it. That's such a sweet little combo there.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Seems like you can gain all kinds of tiny little advantages here from a card like Research Grant. Research Grant.
I can tell you too, though, that another thing that I do not like about this card is that timing. Obviously, I feel like you're going to want to see it early to be able to maximize its value, or it pretty much late game, it just essentially does become a current wiper.
Sure. Yeah. So you got to decide how many you're going to run. Out of most criminals, I don't know. It's a hard call. But I think it's worth considering, and that makes me pleased.
I do like it in that denial style in the Reyna deck, though. That's I mean, that's an interesting place for it.
Yeah. Take a look at that deck list. It's pretty sweet. All right, Corbett Grant, thumbs up. I'm rolling out.
I give it thumbs up.
Yeah.
All right.
Later, Grant.
Let's chat about No One at Home, because I've had a bit of a roller coaster of feeling about this card. So No One Home, it's a virtual. Hello Apex, 0 cost, 1 influence resource.
I like that you keep doing that, by the way.
Hey man, gotta give to love to the tier 3 mini faction runner. Heyo, shots fired. And it says the first time you would take any number of tags or suffer any amount of net damage each turn, you may trash No One Home to force the corp to trace 0. If unsuccessful, the runner avoids any number of tags or prevents any amount of net damage.
So, all right.
I'm so mad on this.
Well, so it appears to be the idea here is, just as an example, you have this card installed. The corp tries to hit you with a hard-hitting news. So they're trying to hit you with that trace 4, and you have to combat that trace to take for the tags. So the corp is going to invest money already into hard-hitting news to give you the tags. And maybe they want to give you, I don't know what the amount is, but maybe they want to give you 5 or 7. So they invest a little bit in it. Now, if this card's on the field, it already seems like a mistake to invest too much into it anyways. But let's say they do want to. They want to give you 5 and 7 tags. So this card's in play. They say, okay, he's got this in play. He's going to try to avoid them. I'm going to spend no money. The corp now is 3 credits down. Attempting to do the hard-hitting news or whatever, 4 credit, whatever. The corp has got credits down to initiate the hard-hitting news. The runner can say, I won't even fight the trace, bro. It's fine. Hit me with it. I'll take all the tags. JK, I counter-trace you. And now that your credit's down, every credit I put up, I've not lost anything, whereas you've already invested into a trace that would let me take tags, and this is my counter-trace to you. So that seems to be the only real situation. Am I crazy about that? And then, of course, net damage, right? Like, Obokata Protocol.
But it's not going to work with Obokata Protocol, because that's an additional cost.
You don't have a choice.
Right. You need to take the net damage in order to steal it, so this doesn't help you there.
Yeah. What are we doing? What are we doing, guys?
Yeah.
What's actually happening?
So that's my feeling about this as well. Like, when I saw this, I got all excited because I've been running decks recently with a lot of link. And so I was like, oh, shoot, I've already got this link. Like, I'm going to put down a No One Home, and then you're definitely not going to hit me with those tags. Baller. Here's the problem, though. I've been running feedback filter for the longest time. And I was like, man, I could just slot out that feedback filter. Put this in instead. It'll be great. I took out feedback filter, and man, I missed that card so hard. The biggest issue with No One Home is that it trashes itself. It's a one-shot thing.
Yep.
And these days, I don't know. I haven't run into a lot of situations where, like, there's a big burst of net damage or a big burst of tags that it's, like, the game over situation. It's more so layering on the tags, layering on the net damage, like, over time to try and wear you down, either in credits or cards, and then the corp gets to their win condition. So where does that leave this card?
So to me, what I really feel that what you're gonna do with this card is, if you listen to the Boggs interview, he mentions struggling with hard hitting news a little bit, and I honestly feel that this is the only thing you have this card for is maybe if NBN and that style of kill deck comes up again, what you're gonna do is just have this in your deck. If you're not playing against NBN or someone or corporations that you feel that they're going to drop hard-hitting news on you, you kind of have this as a discard. If you're playing hard-hitting news, you put it down and you just wait for that turn when they're going to drop hard-hitting news on you. Right.
Here's the problem, though. If you're running a deck with hard-hitting news and you know this card is your meta counter to that strategy, you just run best defense. And so on the turn the corp is going to hard-hitting news you, they've kept best defense in hand for the whole game. They're like, cool, trash that no one home, hard-hitting news, boom, see you later.
Yeah, well, it's definitely worked around, and
right. I mean, that's the problem.
Yeah. But I feel that that's its only thing, right? I just feel like it's solely good against that turn to fight off a hard-hitting news.
Right.
But right. I don't think that I don't think it's got much else because it's the trash it.
Yep. Now again, like with Friday Chip here, not unique. So you can have multiple of them installed at a given time.
Yeah, that's what I was going through. I can't believe it's already got so many entries on the unofficial FAQ, right? Because of all the convoluity. Like, what does it do with snare installed? Because snare gives you net damage and tags.
Right.
What happens if you stack them?
Yeah. Yeah, it's funky. I don't imagine we'll be seeing much of it. I'm probably not going to include it in any decks in the near future. Just have money.
Yeah.
Don't get hard-hitting. Don't make mistakes and don't get hard-hitting news. Sometimes you can't avoid it, but sometimes you just, take your time and money up.
H?
I'm not enthused. I don't really I just see between available mitigation options, this doesn't seem to be that great. It just feels like it's a backup. It's a backup for the backup.
Yeah,
yep.
And if you're relying hard on this, I feel like something else has gone very wrong.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're already too far gone.
All right. Let's move on from one meta counter to the next meta counter. Oh, snap. It's Marathon. It's the most adorable card of this pack. It's a 1-cost Shaper event, run event, and it's 5 influence. So no splashing it, Kentenma. Sorry.
Apparently not.
It says make a run on a remote server. When the run ends, gain click and add Marathon to your grip instead of trashing it if the run was successful. You may not make another run on that server for the remainder of this turn. Now, this is a crazy effect, right? This is something we've never seen in the game before. This gaining of clicks, this adding this card back to your hand for the low cost of 1 credit per run if you want to keep using this. But you only get that for each remote server 1 time, so are you going to the remote servers to trash them? Are you getting that Aeneas informant money? Are there enough remote servers to make this worth it? That's where I'm at with this card, is if it's the right meta and you're expecting the decks they're going to have, 4, 5, 6 remotes, then this is pretty sweet. But is that the meta? I don't know.
If nothing else, it exists at a level that allows you to gain a hefty amount of information for a very small cost and not lose clicks, right? I think a click is easily worth more than a credit in most cases. So if a deck is going horizontal, it does give you the option to say, you know what, Marathon this unprotected remote, what is it? Leave it alone. Marathon this unprotected remote, what is it? Got it. Marathon this unprotected remote, oh, agenda. Try to sneak that by. And that entire time, you know, when you start doing that, you've used it on multiple servers, you still have the remaining 3 clicks. So it definitely for the Shaper side, it definitely helps them, I feel like, or can help them survive against like a heavy like horizontal game, and give them the ability to make decisions or stop cheeky agenda plays. Now, whether or not Shaper can afford to trash all the cards in that method, that's a whole separate question. But it still provides that option. If you do have Magnum Opus as an example, and you've decided to credit up for a fair amount of time, I like that you can say, you know what, gain 8, you're really doing nothing. You're just developing your board that doesn't make sense, like in a way that isn't that beneficial. I'll gain 8. What do you got? All right, well, I'll gain 6, install a card, and then I'll gain 6, install. Like at some point, when you have that critical mass of credits, even though that's not necessarily the most efficient use of Magnum Opus, you will have the option to say, well, I've got an abundance of credits now. Let's check some stuff. I'll run there. What is that? You know what? It's costing me trash. You toss it. Get rid of it. And I get my click back, which is perfect for Magnum Opus because I'll gain 2 credits back. So, like, when I start looking at it like that, it seems like it's okay. It's not like, you know, like, it costing 1, obviously, you know, has to have a cost. It costing 1 can hurt. But if a deck is going horizontal, I like the ability to say, hey, I've got all 3 of my clicks left. I'm going to gain some money back and make some other runs that really matter. So, yeah, sorry. I was long-winded, but that's what I think.
Yeah, no, I think that's all true, all good, and definitely, like, if the situation is right and they've got those remotes to run, like, by all means, get in there. Yeah, and it sticks around in your hand between turns. Like, that's nice too. Is that if that last remote run is successful, it's now back in your hand. So for the next turn, you can go at it again. Same remotes, different remotes, whatever. Yeah, it's a feisty little card, but it's not going outside of faction very easily. That's the other thing. It's like 5 influence. Shoot, that's a Shaper card.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something off the top of my head that would really break this card. Like, why 5 influence?
You know what I've seen tossed around? People have mentioned what would be pretty crazy is by any means. Right? Because by any means says until the turn ends, whenever you access a card not in archives, trash it at no cost and take a meat damage. So if you could sustain all that meat damage somehow and Marathon, that's, you know, all the remotes are just wiped completely.
Right.
At a low cost. That's my first thought. Is like that seems like it'd be risky. And I think there are people who have been trying that, right? Like just sucking up the influence costs and slamming those 2 cards in the same deck and seeing what happens. And I'm sure it's very potent, but that's kind of the only thing your deck is doing if you've gone that route, at least influence-wise. So, but outside of that, I don't know, man.
Oh yeah, I just kind of did a quick little search there, and yeah, you're right. The by any means, they're using by any means, Marathon, and then Paparazzi.
Oh sure, yeah, to prevent it. Yeah, I mean, there's your combo. That's
pretty convoluted.
Right, and yeah, that's just it. It's like all this effort, et cetera, and there's got to be enough remotes.
Yeah, so I'm not feeling that. I don't know. And it makes me, these 5 influence cards really make me think, especially this one, because this one is not coming at a time nor a place where it's really seeing full value for its 5 influence.
But it exists, right? So if there comes a period of time where we're back in the Moonbot cycle, right? And it's just like endless for boats. That this is here as an answer, at least for shapers.
That is correct. This is here, and it's going to be sticking around for a while. So if that style of play ever catches up again, at least they can say, hey, why don't you just include marathon and stop complaining, right? So
get out of here. Yeah.
But as of right now, I'm not impressed with marathon. I thought this is the card that I was kind of like excited to see, because this is that actually the raccoon and stuff like that. This is prevalent art that we've seen around in spoilers and things like that. But I mean, hey, it does fit Shaper's style, and it is what it is there. But expensive.
Yeah,
I wanted to add in here. Chris Hyman actually did say, in the case of like the 5 influence, just talking about it, it may also be a thing like what Bog said when he was on the previous episode. Sometimes they choose the influence based on just how much they think that card melds into that faction as a part of what that faction is capable of. So it may be the case where even if the card isn't necessarily the most powerful, that's what they look at. When they looked at this card in general, they said, this is a shaper card. This is one of the most shaper-y cards, which might be why it got a little bump in that influence.
Well, you can, and I think also Hollis it's protecting itself, right? It's futurizing, because like we said, like if that style ever catches on, this card can pretty much just wreck it down.
Yep.
So
right, you don't want that everywhere.
Yeah.
So there you go.
A level of control.
All right,
that's good game design right there. Good game design.
The Bog's at it again.
Yeah.
All right, so let's keep chatting about Shaper here. Let's get into the ever-growing animal deck, the menagerie of fantastic creatures. We've got Juba.
Crikey!
It's a crocodile, and it joins Kangamato, right, the bird, as a virtual resource, this time 2 cost, that has the trash ability to break the last subroutine on an encounter piece of ice for the low cost of 1 influence. Virtual, Apex, 1 influence, Geist. It's showing up in Haley decks. I'm sure you've heard about this pirate Haley thing that's been going around, and man, it's popular. This card is slotted right into that archetype that had been, I think, getting a little steam, and now Pirate Haley is real, man. That deck is it's pretty powerful. It's pretty solid.
Yes. Yeah.
And this is a part of that. So on its own, though, what do you guys think? Yeah. No, sorry. Go ahead.
You ever heard the phrase, if you ain't first, you're last? When you only have 1 subroutine, that's also true.
Oh.
Oh, that was sir.
Sorry. I mean, like, that's one clear reason, right? Like, in general, if you only have 1 sub, then it's the same, right? Getting first is the same thing last year.
You got it, yeah.
Hold on.
What's up?
Let's go outside. Let's break the 4th wall of the show for a second and just talk about your preparation there. Hollis, this is. I'm just very impressed with that delivery, man. Did you come up with that is that a come up is that on the spot, or is that scripted? Did someone give you that one?
That was 100% on the fly.
Damn.
That wasn't a plan.
All right.
They say if you're not first, you're last, but when you only have 1 subroutine, that actually tends to be true.
If that wasn't so long, I'd probably put it on a shirt for you, but
I appreciate that. I would like to.
Nice.
But I mean, this card clearly synergizes with cards we talked about in the previous pack, breaking subroutines in this weird order, or breaking X amount of subroutines and leaving one remaining that is the last subroutine and have this card fire. Like all of those like concepts seem to work very well. Interestingly enough, work in like this, give this odd synergy to these deck builds, like you said, that Pirate Haley deck, right? And that's one thing that I'm gonna be honest, I'm super surprised about it, because it's not something that I foresaw coming in the available card pool. I could not have imagined we end up in a scenario where we're moving a bit away toward very common center breakers, and there's decks that work out that are doing stuff like, oh, you got 3 subroutines, I'll break the first 2 with this one, but then on this one I'll trash this card and break the very last one, or not. Who cares? You know, like, knowing that that's even an option in the game to me is just phenomenal. And I think especially for programs, for ice that may trash a program as the last subroutine or something like that, or in the run as the last subroutine.
Yeah, I think it's usually end the run that's the last one, right? So at least this lets you go on.
Oh yeah, right. I think this is cool. I dig this.
Yeah, yeah. Right. It's a solid trade-off, right? It's one more credit than the bird, but it's impacting a subroutine that is maybe usually more potent for just getting in. And if that's what you want, get in. You don't really have a lot of programs. You're not worried about stuff getting trashed. Like, go to town. And I want to point out that this is like a serious economic value in certain situations. Like some fairly reasonable situations. Like using this against a toll booth. That's so sweet, right? You don't have to pay for the program. You don't have to pay for the strength of the ice. You just get through it. Yeah, it's nifty. Like if you've got a deck that's set up for those single impactful runs, you're deep data mining, you're going in. You're leg working, you're going in. You know there's an agenda in the row, you're going in. This will get you there in a lot of situations, which I really like.
Let me just double check something here. You know what? Okay, so what I like, and I can't forget what I said if I tied this in with the bird as well. I think that this is the card that I feel like is going to be an unsung hero. Maybe not now, right? Like it's going to feel that Pirate Haley, yeah, that's crazy. I mean, that's a ridiculous deck. I mean, and really, and you know, for Chris to come up with that pirate theme for it is just pretty funny. But this card is going to be something that I think is future proof. You're going to see this stick around for as long as it can. It's one influence. This is a resource that is breaking subroutines, right? So I've got it in my hand. I've got 2 extra credits this turn. Let me just put it down and set up. And this is going to be awesome for, like I said, like the runs are usually maybe the last ones. You're making that last Hail Mary one, and you're doing a whole bunch of stuff, and you're just popping the like resources to get in. You don't have. Like, you know, like forget about credits. Alec, like you said, this is not a program, so I'm not matching strength of anything. I'm not doing stuff. This can help you balance out those plays and tip off your credit pool a lot better. I think this card is really fantastic. Really fantastic. Having it being a resource is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's nice. And it's, again, non-unique, so you could just stack up a bunch of buddy boys.
I know, and that's that. I don't know. That might hurt it in the long run from a balance perspective. This card has, I think, potential to be good.
Yeah, slot your spider webs. That's my pro tip. So it doesn't deal with all ice, right? Spiderweb is a sweet counter, but against a lot of ice, it's a big deal.
Yeah, like I said, for those last hurrahs, right? This is and it's janky enough that it can be exploited in those stupid decks. Someone will find something else for it, you know, down the road, and you'll see this all come together, and we'll just Laugh and laugh.
There you go.
Hollis, you said everything you need to say about this guy?
Crikey. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I got one more thought for you, Jameson. If you remember back a long time ago, you guys had a chat with Damon, right? Where you talked about the cards that did or did not make the cut from those rotated. And one of those, I'm pretty sure you guys talked about it, was E3.
Yeah.
Right? And this idea that E3 was never the like game-breaking card, but because it existed, it was hard to print effects that cheaply broke subroutines because E3 could just sit on top of that and drive it home and make it phenomenal. And so I think it's really interesting that we're seeing this card now. E3 is no longer in the game. Yet again, the prophecy of Damon is coming true. Like, he's right. So right. Yet again, like that E3 would have made this unbelievable. And because E3 doesn't exist, we get to have effects like this because it's more balanced. It's more fair, right? It can't be abused as much as it could have been if E3 was still around. So I just wanted to tip the hat to Damon once again for his design space wisdom there. I think he really nailed it.
Yeah,
and always a step ahead.
And then I will steal the Boggs beanie.
Uh-oh.
Instead of tip the hat, I'll take his hat because I'd rather have E3 than this.
Touche. Bringing it home.
I need it. It's sad. I'm still in denial about E3 going.
Well, let's do the final tip of the hat for this runner side of the pack to White Hat.
That was.
Do you think? Wait. Do you think that last card was it an alligator or a crocodile? I know Hollis was hinting at it was crocodile, but.
I think it's a croc.
Okay.
But I'm not a biologist.
And you just play one on TV.
I am a biologist. Anyway, moving on. White Hat. We got our Sunny card here, guys. We got our 5 influence mini faction card number 3, right? Each of the mini factions got a cool 5 influence card. This one similarly interesting and potent to fill out that mini faction class. It's a 0 cost event. It says play only if you made a successful run on a central server this turn. All right. Force the corp to trace 3. Okay. If unsuccessful, reveal all cards in HQ. Whoa. The runner may choose up to 2 of the revealed cards, shuffle those cards back into R&D. Bye-bye. And they're gone. I've been seeing this card around against Sunny players, of course. I don't think you're gonna see this outside of Sunny all that much, but with a lot of these 5 influence mini faction cards, right? It adds a new dimension to that mini faction play. Now, what I'm curious what you guys think is whether this card is like emergent creativity levels of enabling new cool stuff, or just a nice little spicy add-on that's a cool thing that it has, but not changing the world.
Well, I do like hats, so
check.
So it's on that mark.
Yeah.
I also like hats, Hollis.
Oh!
Yeah, there you go. My favorite side in chess is the white pieces.
Okay.
So that's good. So we got 2 out of the. All right, here's the thing.
Wesley Snipes told you to always bet on black, though.
That was Wesley, bro. Yeah, you're right.
Shoot.
Black, maybe.
Passenger 57.
God. So it's cool to know that if you already make a successful run on a central server, which could include archives, that you have the option to basically like just reduce the corpse hand size. Cool, right? Which means that now when you run HQ, there's less cards there. You already know, and you're choosing 2 of the revealed cards when all of it's revealed. So you can straight up say, do you have an agenda in your hand? Okay, well, the non-agenda ones are going to That's cool. How much do you... I'm going to ask a question. And this is to chat, it's to you guys also. How impactful do you think that manipulation is for Sunny? In the grand scheme of things, do you think that level of manipulation is significant enough to justify putting it in the deck, and is it strong enough to win you the game? What do you guys think? Chat, Jameson, Alec, go.
I didn't know. I saw Alex's hand kind of go up there, so
I'm gonna sally forth and argue yes. I think it is very powerful, and I'll give you 3 reasons. First reason, as you alluded to, it increases agenda density. So not only do you get to see the cards in HQ, all of them, which is kind of nutso, you get to see them, and then, like you said, you get to shuffle away non-agendas, if that's what you're interested in doing, and then you run HQ, your odds of stealing agendas are increased for a 0-cost card. And yes, it took you a click to activate it, so in that sense, it's a little slower, but that's solid. Second reason is if they've got scary combo pieces, like their hard-hitting news, like their economic warfare, these things that are punitive Counter-Strike, right, that are just sitting there waiting to give you a bad time, you just say, shuffle those away. The third reason that I actually think is a really neat use of this card that Sunny players online are making use of, that I really like, that they've puzzled this one out.
So
is running R&D.
Hold on. Does that mean Sunny players in real? Aren't you doing this? Only Sunny online? You're distinguishing 2 different breeds of Sunny player? An online?
Well, I did play actually against 2 Sunny players this past weekend, the Star Chance. So they exist.
I just like to take your train off rails every once in a while. Just interject this.
I appreciate it. But here's the combo, right? You check R&D. You've made a run on Essential Server. You say, cool, white hat. You do your white hat thing. They shuffle their deck. You get to run HQ if there's agendas in there. If not, you now have a fresh card on top of R&D. That's nice, too. So I think you get a lot of benefits for this. It's helping you slow down the corp, which is nice for Sunny because Sunny's typically kind of slow. And you're getting information, you're getting higher agenda density, you're getting a fresh card on top of R&D. Like, it's a buffet, guys. I mean, it's a lot of cool effects stacked on top of each other. I'm pretty psyched about this. Is it going to get me excited enough to play Sunny? I don't know about that. I'm not a Sunny player, but I can imagine if you are, this is pretty sweet.
Yeah, so I think that I think that in the grand scheme of things, like what I'm looking at right now is that emergent creativity is out of all of these mini factions card, that card gave the biggest bang for the buck when it came out. It really pushed Adam, up tiers that Adam he boldly went where no Adam has ever gone before. Nice. Assimilator brought a different style of Apex that I think people that were playing Apex needed, because what it brought to the table is options and design space for that. So because back in the day, I feel like Apex really only had 1.5-ish like good builds, and it was very stagnant. Like maybe you could change one card out. So what Assimilator did is give you a different way to kind of think about building and playing with Apex. What White Hat does for Sunny is nothing like what those other cards did. This is kind of just like I feel like they've just thrown her something that if you're going to play Sunny, you're obviously putting White Hat in. It is probably an auto include in your Sunny deck. But is it making Sunny any better or worse than she was? I don't think so.
But was she bad? Like, was that a bad deck? Right.
Sunny was always the best, like, of the ones before. She was like, you saw her the most prevalent in the rankings out of the three, right? Yeah. But I think this is just a cool little tool in her belt. Like, I don't think she didn't need something like the other ones, like the other factions did. Like that, those were needs, to help those. Sunny was like, Sunny's thing was, good link and breakers. So you're going to just see kind of these cool trace effects in Sunny. And this is just a really cool tool in her utility belt. Right. Yeah. I'm not knocking this card in any way, but I don't feel that it changes anything really for Sunny. She's just going to be that one that she's going to go set up, set up her breakers, do what Sunny does, and just be versatile that way on how she attacks. It definitely helps and gives her options, but I don't feel like it really changes her power level on if we were ranking where Sunny is on like a tier scale. I don't think that this card takes her up another tier. It's just she's wherever she is, she just kind of like maintains, and it's going to be a really fun card to play. I like this card because it's not underpowered, it's not overpowered. It's a very nice addition to the Sunny mini faction.
Well said, and I can't disagree with any of your points. I think you're spot on. And yeah, it's great to have like a nice balanced card for this faction that they can consider using. And honestly, I think in a lot of ways it's a very skill intensive card. Like deciding when to play this, again, not being a Sunny player, but I have to imagine you don't just throw it out at the drop of a hat.
Oh. And
right?
every time we say throw, I'm thinking of that dude from James Bond too with the top hat.
Yeah.
Odd job.
Yeah, odd job. Yeah. But it's like a legwork, right? You don't just like legwork when you feel like it.
No, sir, you do not.
No, sir. Right. You gotta plan that. You gotta plan that legwork. You gotta know when to strike. And I think White Hat falls in a similar category of like power and impactfulness and whatnot. Of you drop it at the right time, it's going to be pretty potent. It's going to do a good thing. But someone was saying in chat there, and actually they raised a good point, that it just sits in your hand sometimes, right? So it's this trade-off of like, you want to get set up, you want to go, but you got this White Hat sitting around. Do you play it? Do you not? I'd love to chat with a Sunny player. If any Sunny players are out there and want to come on the cast sometime and chat with us about what's happening in Sunny's world and how this factors into those decks, I'd be really curious to hear it because,
it's
interesting.
And I find it more versatile than. So I'm not saying it's better in this, so don't take this out of context. But I find it more versatile than what Legwork was able to bring to the table, right? Like Legwork is just your straight surprise multi-access card compared to what the R&D interfaces and stuff, right? It was, but this card, like you said, it can do a bunch of different things. It can help you attack HQ and thin it out, run it like, and then you could run it and grab those agendas easier. It can give you that other look at R&D. Forcing the corp to shuffle that up and give you that peek is always nice. But it also, if you're going to play this, first turn, you could essentially get that speed twist that we talked about I think you already mentioned it too, right? About Sunny's slow to start. So you can maybe speed bump the corp, right? Like, oh, the corp has their perfect setup hand. I play this early enough just on a whim. Like, hey, I have it. Here it is. Boom. Okay, these setup pieces, these big ice that you need, gone. Now I know. Obviously, knowledge is power. Now I know the rest of your hand. You know, so I know maybe if you know, you're playing a damage deck, I can see you have your damage combo pieces up. I'm in a little trouble, or I flush flush those pieces away. Give me more time. I know you don't have ice. Now I can maybe run your R&D a couple more times until you find something. So you're giving yourself, you're creating a little bit of a window with Sunny to offset her slow start.
Yeah.
Good addition.
It's nice.
Yeah. Very well. It's honestly, probably Sunny was probably the hardest of the mini factions to probably add something to, because like I said, I don't think I think she was already like in a good place. Not great place, but she was already in a good enough place that if you give her some kind of weird 5 influence card that was too strong, it could have offset the balance of the force.
Yes, the light side and the dark. Yes. All right. Well, there you have it. That's our runner side of the pack. Quite a bit of variety, interesting stuff. I'm curious, Jameson, if you want to hand out our Aquaman award for these cards here. Any contenders for the prestigious honor of
the most useless card in the pack?
Or do we want to wait until we get through all the corp cards first and then we chat about Aquaman?
Oh geez.
Just throw that out there.
I'm not too sure. Maybe it might have to see what the other side's dealing with. Off the top of my head, in contentions could either be Krypt or No One Home.
I think you got some good contenders there for the Aquaman awards. Yeah, let's check back in at the end of the core pack. We'll shout out Aquaman, and also we'll chat about our favorite cards in the pack, right?
Yeah.
We've certainly expressed the ones that have got us excited, but give us another week or so. We'll chat about the corp side, and we'll get back to you with the hypest cards of the pack and the most moist Aquaman-y cards in the pack.
Aquaman.
Yeah. That's how we do it now.
and Hollis will have some other awards to give out, like the Hey Auntie Award.
The card that he's liking the most.
Yeah.
Oh no! Shoot! Why would you ever say that? Because like there's already a thing. Now they're gonna expect. Oh my god. Oh no. Oh man. Oh. I'll never escape that card, apparently.
Thanks everyone for joining us out tonight. If you don't mind, take some time and make sure that you're subscribing and giving this video the thumbs up. Make sure that you hit that bell next to subscribe if you like to get notified.
Ding. Ding.
And just, hey, it never hurts to tell a friend. So, to everyone who comes out and hangs us in the chat, thank you. And we will catch you all next time.
Have a good night.
See you guys.
Nights.